Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Will with Schedulefly, and I'm stoked today to have Brandon Muller on the phone. Brandon is the GM at Montanya Distillers out in Crested Butte, Colorado. And if you've been listening to the podcast, you know that we had Karen Hoskin, owner of Montanya, on earlier this year. Renee Newton actually was just on, the bar manager, and Brandon is the GM there. And he's actually he's out and about today. He's a couple hours from Crested Butte because a small incredible town like that with all of its amazing attributes. They don't have the big box stores, so if you got to go to Home Depot, you drive a couple hours. So Brandon's out in Montrose, Colorado today doing some errands and was kind enough to take some time. So thank you, Brandon, very much.
Yes, yeah. Nice to be with you.
Yeah, man. Okay, so you're the GM there. I want to talk in a minute about what that means, but take me back a little bit and tell me about how long have you been in the hospitality business and where did you get started and why?
I've been in restaurant industry my whole life. My parents owned some restaurants back in New Jersey where I grew up. So I was kind of brought up cooking and serving and dishwashing and just doing all of it. Watched my father run a business and saw how the ins and outs of it and how it works, and kind of fell in love with the industry. I ended up going to college out in Pennsylvania for something completely different. I went for criminal justice.
Oh, wow.
But I ended up falling back into the restaurant world because I just wasn't happy doing that, and have found some joy in being involved in the service industry, and doing what we do out there in Crested Butte has been a lot of fun.
How long have you been in Crested Butte?
I've been in Crested Butte a little over 5 years, and I've been with Montanya Distillers for 3 of those years. I just had my 3-year anniversary there in August.
Congrats, man. What brought you out there initially? Skiing?
Mostly lifestyle choices.
Yeah.
Skiing, small mountain town, getting away from the big city, and just trying to be in an area where I had access to nature and national forest right out my back door, and skiing and mountain biking and all those fun things that come with it.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a beautiful place. I know, man. So you've been there 5 years. You've been with Montanya for 3. How did you get dialed in with that awesome crew that you have there at Montanya?
I always kind of wanted to work there. I was at a different bar for the first 2 years, doing some cooking and bartending, a little bit of everything at a bar across the street. And I just happened to know the woman who was running the kitchen at that time, who was our kitchen manager, Bree, and she kind of stole me away and took me over there, and I've been there ever since.
What do you love the most about hospitality business? You've been at it a long time. You've grown up in it. So what do you like most about it? Something drew you back for sure.
Yeah, especially at a place like Montanya's is where I'm definitely more happy because we're putting out a quality product. So really, really good food that we make from scratch, and obviously awesome, rum, and everything's handcrafted, fresh squeezed cocktails. The craft distilling, craft food, craft drink industry has just been a joy to work in, to see the looks on people's faces, to kind of get something that they only expect in a big city when they're in a little town like Crested Butte is always a joy. People coming up and complimenting you and shaking your hand, taking pictures of your food and drinks, and just making it a whole experience that everyone enjoys, and they're going to come back. So that's always fun. The bar I was at before that was a little different, where it was more of a late night bar, kind of cracking beers and sliding them across the table, which is also fun, but it's a totally different world. So yeah, that's kind of the joy for me, is just being able to have some pride in what I do and make a good quality product that people are going to enjoy and talk about.
Well, y'all definitely can be proud of what you produce there. I know. So as a GM, we were talking a little bit about this before we started recording, but GM's always a fascinating job to me because you have to wear so many hats. So what are the main things you do on a daily basis outside of putting out fires and dealing with stuff you didn't plan for?
Well, I don't have a typical general manager job because I also work actual shifts. So I work shifts on the line cooking.
Okay.
We don't have a kitchen manager, so I run the kitchen. I also like to do bartending shifts when I can, once or twice a week, on top of all of the other responsibilities. So for me as the GM, I kind of am a kitchen manager, a general manager that oversees the whole operation and bar and the tasting room. You said you had talked with Renee. She's one of the bar managers. I have two other bar managers that also help me kind of run the front of the house operations. But I deal with the scheduling and the payroll, the food orders, coming up with new cocktail ideas we change our menu every season. We also do, different specials every day. We try to use as much local products as we can get, especially in the summertime when we have a lot of good farms around us. So I deal with sourcing, the things like that, and and then just general upkeep of the restaurant.
It's a lot going on, man. You got to be an organized dude to manage all that, I would think.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a learning experience. I've managed a couple different kitchens before, but this is my first job kind of running the whole show, so it's definitely been a learning experience. But over the years, I have a really good team and a really supportive owners who help me get through the hard times. And then we have our off seasons where we kind of get to recover and relax a little bit and, recharge for the next upcoming season.
Tell me about your owners. I know Karen. I've spoken to Karen. I have a lot of admiration for her. I don't know Bryce, but folks, Karen and Bryce are a married couple that started Montanya. So what have you learned from them, and what do you enjoy most about being a part of their organization?
One thing I really like about Karen is that she treats her staff really well, and she really cares that her employees are making livable wage and that they're being taken care of, and also that we have enough time to enjoy the beautiful place that we live, because most of us moved there to go out and have fun and go skiing and go hiking and camping and stuff like that. So she has really, really been good at making sure that everyone has a little bit of sanity and health in a really busy type of environment where a lot of times things like that get overlooked. She's also just amazing at building brands and seeing how she is able to, start a small company in Silverton, Colorado 10 years ago to what it's become today. Just watching her interact with, other people, journalists, other owners, different competitions that we enter. She's always traveling. She's always all over the country promoting our rum, and she just is an extremely hard worker, and it's just been really interesting to see how she does everything. I think a lot of employees in our tasting room don't see her too much because she's traveling and doing all these behind the scene things, and they don't realize how much she really does. But she's just such a hard worker, and has been, I've learned a lot from her and her husband too, who's just super creative and very talented at coming up with new ideas and he's always tinkering in his little lab with different types of things, and just very interesting people who never stop working and are always trying to push it further. So it's nice to see that.
Yes, inspiring, I'm sure, and then it's good to be, they lead by example, and it's good to be a part of a team of people that has a big picture view on work-life balance, especially in a place like that, like you said. But that probably brings up, you said you manage scheduling, that probably brings up some challenges with that, I would guess, with just trying to accommodate everybody's needs, especially when you all have snow days, man. How do you handle that?
We do have a powder day policy, so if it snows more than 7 inches overnight, we open up a little late.
Nice.
We'll open up at 3 instead of at 11. Give everyone the day to go have fun. We didn't have too many of them last year because we had a pretty bad winter out here, not a lot of snow. But we're hoping it's going to be different this year.
Yeah, the weather patterns are shaping up maybe a little better for y'all, hopefully. That's cool. That's cool. Well, that seems to me like a really look. I mean, it's a tough business, and it's tough. I mean, one thing that every owner tells me on this podcast when I ask about some of the biggest challenges, they always say, without fail, they say finding and keeping good people. And if you have, but if you respect what people are there to do for work, and then what they want to do outside of work, and what their interests are, and especially somewhere like Crested Butte where everybody's there to do things outside and enjoy life
Right.
and have good balance. And that's I'm going to assume that helps you all with both finding really good people and then keeping those people on a little longer. Is that fair?
Yeah, and one of the unique things about our setup that's a little different than most restaurants is that we also are producing and distributing our rum.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of restaurants in our town that'll close for the off season for 2 or 3 months at a time. Some restaurants are closed 4 months out of the year. So it's really hard to keep full-time year-round staff when you're closed that long. We're lucky enough where we don't shut down. We have the distribution to help support us through the off season, and that allows us to keep some more full-time year-round employees afloat. And we have a lot of good perks there, like ski passes and free shift drinks and food and things like that. That way, to make sure everyone feels like they're taken care of, and they're not just another person. They're a part of a team with us. So we just really like to keep that an important part of how we do business, and that's allowed us to keep a pretty solid, knowledgeable staff that we've been able to retain for years at a time with some people. So, which is rare in this industry.
It is. It is. Well, you've been in the industry in and around it for a long time, man. Like, what are some of the things that you think that that people miss on in the hospitality business? They get into it, they think, "God, that looks like a cool thing. I could do that too." But what are some of the things you see people miss? Do they not recognize how hard it is, or what goes on, behind the scenes, or any things you would tell people that are young that are wanting to get into the business?
I just, depending on what type of restaurant you're in, I mean, it's a pretty broad spectrum, but I would say, you have to realize that it's going to be long hours, and you're going to be working on weekends and holidays when most of the rest of the country isn't. And, you have to adjust to that. And like we just talked about, retaining good staff is very important. You need to have people there that you can trust, and, they know what they're doing. I think the bottom line, too, a lot of people who have money, they're like, oh, we're going to open up a restaurant, and probably 70% of them fail because they don't understand the business side of it, and understanding, that you're there to make a profit, and you need to, you can't just be having your friends come in and giving them away drinks and, things like that. You need to really watch your bottom line. And just also just staying fresh and new, I think, is important. A lot of places get caught up in just that they have one menu, and they rock out that same menu for years at a time, which is really good if you nailed your menu. But a lot of people like to, especially in a smaller town where there's not a lot of choices to go out, it's nice to have like a fresh new seasonal menu where you're using fresh local ingredients, and you're changing up your food plates, changing up your drinks, and just keeping it new for everybody. And I think that's one of the most exciting things for me is being able to create cocktails, being able to create new dishes, and just seeing how people react to them and what they think about your ideas. So it's nice to have that creativity, and I think that it's important not to lose that, no matter how hard you're working.
For sure. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And you guys are constantly being creative and on your toes and not resting on your laurels, which is, I'm sure, a big part of the success. One more thing I'm curious about is it's been on my mind a lot lately too, and I hear a lot of owners talk about this. So they talk about finding and keeping good people, and then they talk about building, relationships with regulars, and building a larger and larger base of regular customers and giving them reasons to come back for more. Is that something you guys are working on a lot as well?
Yeah, we've been lucky to have a really good local crowd. I feel like for the most part, the people in that town love us. And even though we've grown to be more of a company that has reached more of a national audience at this point, where we're in 40 plus states distribution wise, just as a restaurant alone, I think that we've done a really good job of running local deals in the off season, getting people in the door. We've been really getting a more younger crowd too, which is nice because in the past, it's kind of hard to push a $12 or $13 cocktail to a 20-something-year-old in a ski town. But we've really done a good job at getting those people in the door too, and we have a lot of return customers who come in on a weekly or daily basis, and they know what they like, and they come in and they like our rum. So, I think it's really important to build a local base, especially in a place like that where you need to rely on your town and your friends and your family and the locals to come in and give you that business in the off season. It's not the same as being in a big city where people are just going to flow in and flow out. You might never see them again. So we do really try to work on building that rapport with the locals, and I think we've done a really good job at that over the past couple of years.
How many states did you say that you're selling your rum in?
Don't quote me on this, but I think we're in 46 states and 6 or 7 countries now.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I thought 40. Yeah. What? Do you know what states you're not in and why?
We're not in like Pennsylvania, any place that has state stores. I feel like we're mainly not in because you have to supply like any like state-run liquor stores. So there's a couple like that. I can't think off the top of my head. I know Pennsylvania is one of them.
Oh, you're probably not here in North Carolina then.
Utah. I don't think we're in Utah. Yeah, I don't think we're in North Carolina quite yet.
Okay.
We're just getting into New Jersey and New York now, which are pretty big markets. So that's cool. But yeah, I mean, when I say we're in those states, we're not. We're available to be purchased in that states, but we might not be in every single store. We might be in a couple of the bars.
Oh yeah, sure.
Of liquor stores,
Yeah, but that's just that's still you're there. You got a toe in the water in those places, so it'll only grow from there. So that's really cool, man.
Yeah.
Hey, well, listen. Okay, so you drove a couple hours to go to Montrose to take care of some stuff today, so I'm going to let you roll. But particularly in light of that, man, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to do this, and I really appreciate it. And you guys are awesome. We love what y'all are doing, and just appreciate the opportunity to catch up with you very much, Brandon.
Yeah, great. It's been really nice talking to you. Thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Take care. Travel safe, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Will.
All right. Take care. Bye.